Did we hear from Mr. Kenny why he's planning to cut your overtime pay? Nope, we sure didn't. Did we hear any contrition about how he cheated to win the leadership of his party? Nope, not a bit. In fact, when I asked him about the RCMP investigation into his campaign, Mr. Kenny denied that the police were even involved. Did we hear a plan for the future from Mr. Kenny? No. Did we hear about a plan to diversify the economy and to create jobs? No. Just more of his empty economics, a tax break for big corporations that won't do anything for years, and cuts to overtime wages for working people. That's not a plan. So what I saw actually was a man whose only answer was anger and division and resentment. In fact, that's just about all we've seen from their campaign. Now, Mr. Kenny thinks the job of Premier is to yell at the mirror. He even wants to sue Ottawa for an equalization formula he himself took part in writing. So, friends, this is the difference between Mr. Kenny and the rest of Alberta. The thousands of Albertans who I have met over the course of this campaign and over the time as Premier, most of them, they don't wake up being angry and resentful. Now, of course, people are anxious about the future. I know that. But Mr. Kenny's style of politics is to take advantage of those worries and try to turn them into anger. And that is not the kind of leadership that Albertans need from their Premier right now. In fact, I will say to you that that is not leadership at all. Albertans need a Premier who understands their problems, their anxieties and worries, who share those things. But more than that, they need a Premier with a plan to do something about them. Does Alberta want a Premier who is driven by resentment and anger? A Premier who is stuck in the past? Or does Alberta want a Premier who is driven by Alberta values? A Premier who understands and believes in her heart that diversity is actually the source of our strength, who knows that we cannot afford to be divided from one another, and that we are actually all in this together.